In part 3 of the cardstock folio, we'll continue to decorate with Stamperia paper the next few pages. So I hope you'll join me. Hi everyone, it's Jean from Inky Owl Studio. I'm going to put down links below the tutorial of how to put together this file folder looking folio made out of cardstock. And also there's part 2 is when I decorated these first few pages. And we are using the Stamperia Voyages Fantisque 8x8 pad. So let's get started and do some of the other pages. So we have here the spine page is what I call these. There's a little spine, you know, these do not have one, but there's one here. And the spine is here for a reason, and that is to put in a pad of paper that we can write on. And let me get one out here. Here's the one that I've already made. So here's the pad of paper that will fit into one of these sides, and the paper here will fit inside that little spine area. So we're going to be making that first of all. So I cut a piece of cardstock that is 3 1/4 by 6 inches. And this cardstock is pretty heavy. It's Stampin' Up. Don't ask me the shade because I think it's been discontinued anyways. But it is a nice heavy cardboard. Now you may not have a heavy one, but it's okay because we're going to reinforce the fold in there anyways. So what we'll need to do is we're going to score that at the top there at 1 1/4 inches, and again at 1/2 inch, 1 1/2, so that we have a 1/4 inch spine right along there. Now I plan to tear the bottom of this folded part here. I'm going to tear right along here. I see there's a little bit of an ink mark there. I'm going to use this side. I'm going to tear along here, but if you don't like the torn look, then I would score at 1 inch and 1 1/4 inch, because we don't want this to be too thick. You know, about 1 inch is about where we want it. So I'm just going to tear off about 1/4 inch, maybe a little less here on the edge, like so. So here is the beginning part of our pad. Now I like to reinforce that fold because what we're creating here is a pad that can be refilled. So this fold right along here, I've got some washi tape that I'm going to be putting along that fold and gluing it down, of course. Now if you don't have washi tape, you can use some paper, some scrapbook paper, and just make it about, oh, this is probably almost 1 inch wide, and glue that down right over that spine area. And that will reinforce it as well. If you do use paper, or even with the washi tape, you probably should let that dry just a little bit before you refold it again. Just set it aside and we'll work on something else just to make sure it sets up nice. So we'll just put that to the side. Now we're going to need to cut our papers to go inside our little pad. So I recommend cutting them 3 1/8 by 7 3/4. And I just used plain paper. And what I did was I cut 16 pages for one side and 15 pages will be for the second, because we're making 2 of these, because the second one will just fit inside the next spine area. So we're making 2. I made one with 16 pages, one with 15 pages, so that there's a page for every day of the month. Now you can cut them the way you like them, as many. Of course, you can't go beyond your 1/4 of an inch there, but cut whatever you would like out. You may end up using both sides. You know, you may fill the one side and you may turn it over in your pad and then fill up the next side. I don't know how you'll do it. but that's the number I made. My thought was that when you get these filled up over time, you can string some ribbon through the holes we'll be putting in here and kind of keep them stored somewhere else and then refill it with new paper if you care to do that. So we will need those cut up there. I think this is probably set pretty good. And we'll just refold this area here. Okay, like so. All right, now we're going to put in 2 holes here for our brads. And we want to use, I mean, it would be best to use a brad that had, you know, pretty good, some good legs on it there. And as opposed to the real tiny brads, you just want like a good average size brad there. And I got these really fun ones with little screws on the top of it. It's so cute. This is from Michael's Recollections. And but you know, you can do it with the mini brads, but really these really would work a lot better. So we're going to put in our holes. We're going to mark where our holes are going to go. I love this ruler, this Tim Holtz ruler that has the center measurement on it. I don't know how I ever got around or how I ever did these things without it. So we'll put that in the center. And I'm just going to mark 2 places to put that in, different hole areas. So I'm going to put one here and I'm going to put one here. All right. And you can put these where you'd like to. I probably should be marking on this side. It's okay, I guess. We'll get through it. And I just want to make sure they're straight, and they are straight. Okay. I like to use, of course, I have the Crocodile, another tool that I don't know how I would ever do without. I love it because it's easy to use and easy to punch thick stuff rather than just the traditional hole punch, or just the regular office hole punch. Although you can use this, you know, you can use this. You're just going to get a good workout with your hands. So I'm going to get, and I'm going to choose the smaller hole for the cardboard, or for the cover here, because I think that the brad does a lot less wiggling if this is a smaller hole here. Just enough for the brad to fit through. But you don't have to. You know, it still will work if all you got is the one size. So once I've done that, I'm just going to grab my paper here. Now I don't want to put this all the way to the top, because then it becomes sometimes it can hang up on the fold here. So I want to leave just a hair below that fold line. So here's my fold line. I want to put it right here, just below that fold line. Okay, and that's where, I probably should be doing it this way here. Here we go. Yeah, so the fold line's here, and there is the paper line. Just want to do that. Make sure that's in the middle. And we'll just mark these little guys here. All right. Now, hallelujah, I can do a whole bunch at one time with that Crocodile. And so we're just essentially going to go through, and we're going to, now we're going to use the bigger one. We're going to use the more standard size hole, because it will be easier for the paper to line up with that. And of course, you just want to keep on punching your holes. So I'm going to do that and finish it up. Well, actually, yeah, I'm going to finish it up off camera. Alrighty, got all my holes in, and we just are simply going to put our brads in and make them nice and tight. Hold them in there well. And now we have our little pad here. Now I cut these papers just shy of 3 1/4, and you can see they hang over a little bit. So that's why I told you after I cut them, I decided to tell you to cut these 3 1/8 wide. It'll be fitting in a little bit better. Anyhow, so we're going to slip this in here, or eventually it's going to slip in here. Now, if you have trouble getting this inside this pocket, and sometimes if the glue has, you know, narrowed somehow when you glue them together, it may have gotten too much. You may have to simply start just taking off a little bit from the bottom, but eventually you'll get it to fit inside there. Now we're going to decorate it, and I'm doing these 2 pages very simply. I'm using paper, like I had mentioned, the printed paper, like I have some music paper I'm going to glue down on this side, and this side I have some ledger paper. This is an excellent time to use up your scrapbook paper that happens to be kind of thin. I do have some that I think this matte paper, scrapbook paper, is just like super thin. So I use this for this type of thing where there's no pockets, there's no wear and tear. It'll just glue down nicely. So we'll be doing that to these. I'm not going to do them in front of you, of course, but you'll want to put 2 plain on these 2 spines and these 2 spines. Alrighty, so we'll be doing that on those pages. Now, I want you to get out the page in your pack that has these larger tags, and I think this is how they're arranged. We've used this one in the corner here for the front, and now we have these here left. But we're going to be concentrating on the back of them right now. So we're going to flip them over like so. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make some little mini cabinet cards to put a little photo in on a couple of our pages. I chose this one and this one here, and the reason I did is because I have a round die cut that will fit in here quite nicely, and this one here is a pretty straightforward cutout. Now, and this one's pretty straightforward, although you're going to be, if you want to preserve the gears, you'll have to be cutting around those. The problem with these 2, they can be used, but you got to remember that you're going to want to leave at least, you know, like 3/8 of an inch, like this here, this distance right here. You'll want to cut on the inside and leave that distance so that it's not super skinny, because if you cut right along this line, this is going to be way too thin and it's going to tear over time. So you just want to make sure that if you use these 2 here, you'll want to cut on the inside a little bit. So just putting that out there. Now, if you want to preserve this image, which I do, and you do have a cutting mat and craft knife, I would recommend using that so that you can preserve that. Otherwise, if you don't, you can simply poke in a hole in the middle and then use some smaller scissors to cut around the edge there. Now we're going to be using both for this because we have these rounded, and I'm spending time on this one in case you know you want to use this one, and these are just some tips that I found. So these are rounded, which for me is a little too difficult to use the craft knife on. So what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to cut the sides with a craft knife. So I'll just come down, let's see, well, I should be doing it this way so that I can actually see where it ends and begins better. All right, I'll just be coming in here right before the curve and ending right before the curve. And this way, this will be straight for me. And then I will finish out with the scissors so I can get those curves. And in this way, I can preserve this little image and use it somewhere else in my decor. So we'll just come around here really fast and cut it out. Just as simple as that. There we go. And we can use this somewhere else now. Now we have a really cute little frame that we can glue into our journal. Just get that out of here. And I will, as you can see, in the one that I completed, I just simply glued it in here, here, and here on this side, and I left this one opened. All right, and this here is one of those little tiny tag pages, the pages that have a lot of little tiny tags in it. I just went ahead and put that in there. Now the background here is a digital print that I printed in the prototype, so that's just part of that digital, you know, so ignore that. But this way we have a little piece that we can slip in and slip out, or we can just keep a little tag there, you know, whatever happens. So you'll want to put one here, and then you'll want to put this one over on this page. And this one here is the circle that I cut out, and you can see how I did that on that die. And I went outside the pattern itself goes outside the border a little bit, and that's kind of fun. Another reason I chose it, I thought that was cute. And then when I had left over, I have a little clock face left over that I can use someplace else. So there you go. That's what I've done for these two pages. Now, another thing you might want to consider about which side you want to put your tablet on. I put it on this side because I don't know. I just put on this side for writing. You may want to put it on this side for writing. Whichever side you end up putting your paper in, the other side will get a tag, but this will have to be on the opposite side. So whichever side you want to put your tablet in. That's just something to think about. And maybe it makes no difference, you know, to you at all. And that's fine. So there's that. And now we're going to go with the next page. Here we go. So here is our clock face. And of course, we're going to be cutting this in half at 4 inches. All right, just like so. Okay, here we got the top. Okay, we're going to cut around here, and we're going to stop about, maybe right in this area, about 1.5 inches from the edge of the paper. So we'll cut right along this way, and we'll cut this here the same way. And with this, we're going to be forming another little tuck spot, kind of a pocket, kind of a tuck, a little bit of both. And just come down to about there. And that way we can keep the clock lined up for the rest of it. And we will be gluing in when we glue in, we're going to glue down this portion right here, of course. We're going to glue all that down. And then we're going to glue just down, the only part of the clock we're going to glue is right down this edge, right there. So let me just get that started. I'm so happy to hear many of you starting this project. I hope you enjoy it. I know that I had a lot of fun working on it. Okay, and I accidentally got some up here. There we go. And we'll just come right here on the edge. Yeah, there, just a little bit like that. And place it on our page, just like so. And now what we have is a tuck spot right over here, and it's going to look like this. So we're going to stick our cards kind of inside like so, right? So that is kind of an interactive way. So it is so much fun trying to figure out interactive ways to make some of these guys up. It's just a lot of fun. So that's what you'll be doing on this side, which I'm not going to do on camera, but you'll be doing the exact same thing. All right, so now we're going to come to this page here. And this is one of my favorite sheets in the pack. I love this sheet. I just really love this scene. But I did not want to cut this in half because I just didn't want to ruin the middle part here. So what I did was I cut 2 inches off on this side and 2 inches off on this side. And then we'll have like the middle portion of it. So let me do that quickly over here. And because I like this page, I thought it was really pretty, I decided not to do anything with it. Just keep it in there because it was a pretty page. So this will get glued down right inside there, and you'll want to keep these little slivers because you'll be using these. Yep, don't worry, you'll be using them. And so on this particular side over on here, I want you to get out the page that has the guy on the bicycle. And we're just going to cut that bicycle out, that little section right there. And we'll want to cut it by hand because we're going to be using, of course, the other parts of it. And so, but this is sadly just a little bit too wide. Yeah, I think so. I ended up doing on the 2 sides. Forgot about that. I went ahead and cut off that little border on these 2 sides here. There we go. So that it fits in, you know, it doesn't get hung up on that seam there. Because we're going to be making a flip with this. Now you have to decide what are you going to do with the back if you want to write on it. And maybe, I mean, this is a very nice flip for just a photograph. So if you want to mount a photograph there, then you don't need to do anything. But if you want to write, this is just a little bit dark. So you might want to take a piece of tea stain paper or some kind of paper and just either glue it to the back, or you can tear it out. I think in what I did in the first one is I just glued in with a little border a piece of tea stain paper. That's what I ended up doing. And you can do that now, you can do it later. It doesn't matter. So this is going to be, of course, a flip out. It depends on your paper. If you have some nice strong, strong scrapbook paper to put in there, you can make the hinge between these 2 papers. Or if you don't, like I don't, you can put the hinge inside the pocket. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's get our washi tape. And again, you can use paper for this, and we're just going to put down just a little line of glue right there, because we really want that washi tape to stay. And I'm going to put it in. So some of it will be covered up, but that's okay. Or, well, I could have put the washi tape down on this side and flipped it out this way. So you can just decide how you want to do that. So there's that. Now I'm just going to put this, I'm going to put it in the middle right inside that pocket area. And, oh, I probably should put a little glue on that. That's right, put a little glue on that. Just put a little glue on that. Right there. There. Fold it over before I glue it in so that I know that it has the room it needs to flip over nicely. And so that there then is this page, and then behind here I have this matte paper that I wanted to use, and because it was lightweight I didn't glue that hinge onto this paper. I did it inside the pocket. But if your paper's heavy, like I say, you can just cut your size out and glue that hinge onto this paper. So that is this for these 2 pages. I believe we will stop here for today. Next time we come together, we will work on the rest of the pages and start working on some tags, and hopefully that's going to finish up this series. And so thanks so much for viewing, and please subscribe if you'd like to see the flip through, which will be coming up after the series is done. I appreciate your support and hope you have a great and crafty day. Bye.